In today's show, the coronavirus threat, CEO Andrew Fagan's message to fans.
We get up close with new coach Matthew Nicks. What leadership role has he given Wayne Milera?
And we let Brodie Smith loose with a microphone.
Hi everyone and welcome to the Optus Crows Show for 2020. I'm Mark Bickley.
And I'm Alana Smith, and Mark, we launch into a new season with the AFL in an unprecedented lockout.
Like everyone else, the club's management is grappling with the speed and scale of unfolding events as the coronavirus spreads.
Yes, here's Crows Chief Executive Andrew Fagan.
Look, it's obviously a really unique situation that we're facing, and it's disappointing that our fans aren't able to be there at Adelaide Oval, but look, we're just trying to ramp up the access that they get to the football club, and our team of staff are working on everything from the live streaming of training sessions to providing that inner sanctum access that is pretty special inside footy clubs, like Matthew Nicks telling Fisher Mackesy that he'll debut against the Swans. So we're going to continue to ramp up that sort of access right throughout the course of the season, and look, I do encourage Crows fans who've got ideas of what they'd like to see to send them through on our social platforms, and we'll be sure to try and get something up.
Well, these are extraordinary times for Matthew Nicks to begin his senior coaching career.
Yes, Alana, he's had to keep his squad focused while blooding recruits and also introducing a new game plan.
So we dropped in on training to check out his coaching style.
Bradley? Good, mate. How are you? Crazy. It is. No high fives, all elbow touches. Keezy? Good to see you, mate. Let's do this! From a key focus point of view, it's really about making sure players' heads are in the right space. Sometimes with the added pressure of playing on the big stage, and when we get into proper games, is players will lose their way and they'll think they have to do more than the team needs. So as a coaching group, what we endeavour to do is keep our players in the right headspace.
And the guys up the front, you get back in and rip to the front.
It's a perfect point. I reckon that's so important from that guy.
That's really good. Final comment, just come in and back the coach up. Yeah. That's exactly where I reckon your most powerful stuff comes, is when you stay in that space rather than just running it. Yeah. That was really good, really good.
That's important. I think that's our element that we get better.
Well, that's quick too. From what we've been able to do through the pre-season, where there's been a lot less pressure for performance, we've been well composed upstairs, and we've been looking at just key issues in the game. How can we assist our players with what is an overview really of what's happening? We get a chance to talk to them in game, both on the bench, but also at all the breaks. So it's really seeing patterns in a game. I'm not a rant and rave coach, but that may come back and bite me on the bum, sort of saying that I'm not that style of coach, because there's added pressure that when you get in that seat. I'd like to think that that's not the path I go down. Not bad, Tex. Got to back him in. Let's inflict damage when we can, eh? Shona, get another one. I thought second half, when you began holding yourself in that fight and actually giving us something in the air, we came with a little bit more. We looked better as a team.
I know the players have certainly embraced Matthew's personality and his drive. Wayne Milera, for example, is being encouraged to take on a leadership role within the club's Indigenous playing group. Junior has accepted the challenge both on and off the field, and recently took teammates to his community of Port Victoria on Yorke Peninsula to experience a centuries-old tradition.
The Narungga people have a deep cultural connection to the sea. Each year they celebrate their heritage at the Guyonborough Festival, an event that draws Wayne Milera back home.
As a kid I didn't really get down here too much, so I think that's one thing. When I got a bit older I was like, I'd like to get down and be a bit more involved.
But this year Junior had some crows for company, including Indigenous mates Shane McAdam and Ben Davis.
You just build another bond with them, like you've already got a strong connection, and then these sort of camps and you just build a better relationship.
It's obviously great to be here on Junior's land and get to know his land and his people a bit better.
And being fiercely competitive, they all dived into a spear fishing contest, a modern take on a Narungga tradition of catching huge butterfish.
And our old people used to harpoon it, and we've got stories that our old people used to catch Guyonborough, which is a big butterfish, 5 or 6 foot, so they were massive fish, and they would be able to feed the community.
For Port Victoria youngsters, the presence of 3 AFL players is inspiring.
It shows our kids that these people are real people, that they're in touch with their community, that they're approachable, and they're really big role models with the younger generation. They're all striving to be the next Wayne Milera or the next Eddie Betts.
And that's extra incentive for Junior to take on more responsibility.
I guess with like 2 older boys and Eddie and Cam going, it's sort of a bit of time for me to step up.
It's a role he's discussed already with Matthew Nix, so how's he going about it?
I'm probably more actions leader. I'm not overly vocal and stuff like that, so I think, yeah, I'd say I'd lead by my actions and how I present myself.
Tackle affected the kick. Milera had to go. Good courage.
Back to Smith, to Milera. Not quite out though. Bruce tried to. Kobe Stevens threw everything at Milera, but Milera was up for it.
Apart from his leadership goals, Junior's main objective is to stay fit and healthy.
I haven't actually played a full proper year, so I'd love to play all 22 games and with it injury free.
And if Port Victoria's favourite son ever needs encouragement, he knows where to find it.
Well, this is the time of year when optimism abounds across all clubs. But who'll be the winners and losers come season's end? Mark, how do you see the potential finalists this year?
Well, I don't think the top 4 or 5 are going to change too much. I think Richmond and GWS are going to be up there. West Coast will be really strong again. Collingwood. The one club I can see moving up is the Western Bulldogs. So apart from that, I really feel like from about 6th down to 12th or 13th, you're going to have Crows, Port Adelaide, St Kilda, Hawthorn, Essendon. All those clubs are really going to be fighting it out.
All right, have you got an early prediction for grand finalists?
Well, I think the Bulldogs can really improve, and I think Richmond are going to be around the place. So the fact that they've had a young list last year, the Bulldogs, and they finished off really strongly, but they've recruited Alex Keith and also Josh Bruce, so some key position players, very important.
And how about a tip for Brownlow medalists?
Well, sticking with my theme, I hope this works. Marcus Bontempelli, of course, plays for the Bulldogs, and if they win a heap of games, we know that he does always poll well in the Brownlow.
All right, and closer to home, have you got a tip for Crows Club champion?
Well, I'm liking what I've seen so far from Brodie Smith. We saw in that game against the Gold Coast Suns where played in the midfield, got a stack of footy, kicked a goal, so I feel like he's my early tip.
All right, well, thanks very much, Mark. Not easy to make predictions in a season that's going to be anything but predictable.
Well, stay with us. That man we just spoke about, Brodie Smith, we let him loose on his teammates.
Well, fanatical fans, thunderous cheering, boos and chants. They're just as much a part of football as the game itself. Now that the stadiums are silent, how do the players feel?
Welcome to Brodie's Locker Room Chat. We're joined by Chase Jones here today. Obviously a bit going on at the moment with the coronavirus and trying times all around. Just want to give the fans a bit of an update on some of the things that have changed around the footy club.
Oh, just a bit of hygiene and stuff like that, just trying to come into the club, make sure we get our temperature and our heart rate checked just to make sure that everything's okay. Alright, we've got Big Birder, Riley O'Brien, just filling the fans in on some of the coronavirus protocols around the club at the moment, which is a big change up for you. You're not the most hygienic bloke at the club, so just run us through some of the things you've had to change especially.
I get a bit of flack for not showering before going up to the gym because I've got to do a bit of extra gym, but I've been making sure I shower multiple times. Hygiene around the club, hand sanitisers everywhere. We've been restricting the access to the club for other people outside the clubs.
Yeah, and even in the meeting rooms we've got about 1.5 meters between us, which can be good depending who you're sitting next to, but yeah, we're just trying to keep our social distance.
Outside of the club we're trying to just limit our social interaction and getting in big groups, so we're just trying to do everything we can to stay healthy.
You're a big cafe goer, aren't you?
I am. I live on the east side with a few of the other guys and some nice cafes out east, but I'm not going to get my business for a while, so I'm just going to stay at home, make my coffee at home.
Plenty going on with this virus at the moment and we don't really know where it's going to end up, but doing everything we can possible to get out in the park and hopefully you fans can see us play as much as possible.
Now, every Crows fan prides themselves on their knowledge of the club and the players. Let's test a few of them with 5 questions, all thanks to Optus 5G.
Andrew McLeod. Andrew McLeod.
Nigel Smart.
You've stumped me already. Jordan Butts. One of the newbies.
Oh, Jordan Bucks.
Jordan Butts. False. True.
False.
The club has had 7,
5, 6,
8 or 9. 135.
198.
182.
I wonder how many you got right. Okay, still to come on The Crows Show, Mark Mikan makes an emotional return to his football home.
Early in my career at the Crows, I was fortunate to play alongside Mark Mikan. He'd already chalked up nearly 50 games with the Brisbane Bears before finishing with 39 for Adelaide. He ended his playing days with his beloved West Adelaide, then turned to coaching, eventually taking the Bloods to a premiership in 2015. Recently, he returned to Richmond Oval in another coaching capacity.
When the Crows AFLW coach Matthew Clark looked for someone to take charge of his young ruck stocks, he turned to an old friend. But Mark Mikan wasn't sure that he could do it. His body was struggling with the effects of Parkinson's disease.
In the end, I wanted to give it a crack. I just don't like to say no without trying, so it was important for me to be able to give it a go and see how it went.
Now he's enjoying being back in the football fold.
It's good that the Crows have given me an opportunity to do the role that I've got. It's small in terms of time commitment, but large in terms of its importance. So I'm very grateful for that.
It's your right hand that's the worst one.
Since his diagnosis in 2016, Mark has inspired many with his courage and determination.
The last couple of years I've been able to lead a reasonably normal life. I've had a couple of brain operations though along the way, and that slowed me up a little bit.
But it was a chance to reunite with Doc Clark on the playing field.
He's an outstanding player, outstanding ruckman, and to come in and see him coach the way he does is no surprise really, because he's a very intelligent player, a very intelligent person actually, so I hold him in very high regard.
As for the young talent he's working with, Mikan has nothing but praise.
It probably doesn't sound much to the people that are listening to this, but they can jump off either foot. And I played for 13 years and I could only jump off my right foot.
Richmond Oval brings many memories flooding back, particularly the large crowds in the 80s. But that 2015 flag is special.
And West Adelaide went all the way, not necessarily the best team all year, but we came good at the right time and got ourselves a flag, first one in 32 years. To the West Adelaide faithful, today was our day.
Amongst other things, Mark will be remembered as the Crows' first ever club champion. Now, don't forget, you can always join as a free We Fly As One Crows member. Go to the link weflyas1.afc.com.au and sign up to take advantage of some exclusive offers and learn all the latest news. It's now more than 30 years since I moved down from Port Pirie to pursue a football career in Adelaide. Over that time, I've come across some extraordinary characters, and this season, with the help of Flight Centre, I'll catch up with a few of them again. First up, dual premiership mate Ben Hart, who with me shared the experience of playing in a near-empty stadium.
back in the day, 92, I think I just started playing, and right now with the AFL talking about playing with no crowds, the MCG, the Great Southern Stand, going through its redevelopment or restoration, if you like, and playing out there was really surreal. There was no crowd on one side of the ground. There was a construction site. If the ball happened to go out over there, one of the players would either have to jump a fence or wait for 5, 10, 15 seconds before you could get the ball, and construction workers, even with the hard hats, were coming down to collect it for us.
Handball to Hart, short pass is pretty good.
It was really weird because on one side of the ground there was still, I think, the Ponsford stand and some others that were still there, so you had a little bit of support there, but you turn around, it was like you're playing in our footy park now with the stands down, so it was quite strange, but hopefully if we happen to play in front of no crowds this year, that it won't be for long.
I think that's a goal. He's slotted that one, and that is the Zeta.
Fortunately, there weren't too many fans there to see us lose what was almost the unlosable match. When Alana returns after the break, another dual premiership player, Courtney Kramer.
Over the past 3 years, Courtney Kramer has enjoyed life at the elite level, experiencing the best her sport can offer. But it was very different when she began playing 17 years ago as a youngster with Sturt. She knows all about grassroots footy and how it struggled with precious few resources and limited facilities. Now, thanks to Toyota Good for Footy, players are a lot more comfortable.
I suppose I grew up in a football family. My brother played football and my dad coached a lot of footy. So, I started kicking the footy while he was playing and Dad was coaching. And as time went on and I found that there was a women's league and played for Morphettville Park then, it was quite interesting to have to go into change rooms while the men's were still in there and try and work out where to get changed and how to go about it. The facilities weren't great, but it's good that times are changing. So an example of how facilities has changed is the club that I grew up playing for in the South Australian Women's League has now obviously got a grant from the state government to upgrade their facilities, so they have a number of change rooms now that cater for females and can cater for the men as well. So it's just amazing to see how far it's come. Well, this year Toyota is providing 100 female teams around the country with $1,600 each to help pay for new jumpers and shorts, so they won't have to use hand-me-downs from men's teams. Well, that just about wraps up our first Optus Crows Show for 2020.
Yes, and this season, more than ever, it'll be important to keep up with all the latest news from the club, and you can do that at afc.com.au.
Indeed, and make sure you also check out the social accounts, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
And keep an eye on @The Crows Show on Twitter as well.
All right, well, thanks for your company. Do stay safe, and we look forward to joining you again next Sunday.
That's 11:30 on 7. We'll see you then.
Bye for now.